Good evening, I'm Ken Hose. Welcome to NewsWorld. Senator George Georges has won a last-minute reprieve from spending Easter in jail. Earlier today, the senator was arrested at a picket line for the third time in as many days. On appearing in the magistrate's court, he was kept in custody after refusing to comply with a bail condition. But late today, he successfully appealed to the Supreme Court.
It was well past nightfall when Senator Georges was released from the City Watchhouse, to the obvious delight of his supporters. Despite his ordeal, the ailing senator was adamant he would return to the pickets.
Well, I won't have much time next week, but the week after there may be a need to give support to the workers.
Mike Stewart has the details that led to Senator George's arrest earlier today.
Since the first picketers were arrested, the number of protesters has grown daily. Today, more than 30 lined up outside the Taringa depot. Senator George Georges, arrested twice in as many days, was not among them. Arriving late, he stood well away from demonstrators near a big group of police. However, that didn't save him when arrests were being made. He joined 19 others in the back of police paddy wagons, as did university lecturer Dr. Carol Ferrier, who was picked up as she carried her daughter away from the rally.
I'm moving along the road. What's the charge? What's the charge? I'm walking along the street. What's the charge?
State Labor MP Anne Warner comforted Dr. Ferrier's daughter as her mother was driven away. Despite threats in the Parliament, police did not arrest any members of the media, though we understand they were taking down the names of television channels and newspaper reporters taking pictures of workers arriving here today, and they did repeatedly warn us to stay off the roads and to stay out of the way. When Senator Georges and Dr. Ferrier appeared in court later in the day, their applications for bail were subject to the condition that they stay away from CQEB depots. They refused to comply and were returned to the watchhouse. Regardless of the arrests, sacked workers plan to continue and increase the size of their pickets, with a major demonstration planned for next Tuesday.
And tonight, Senator Georges clearly agreed with their plans.
Well, my role might be limited by the judge's verdict that although he removed the conditions of bail, which were rather prohibitive and interfered with my rights as a member and as a citizen. Nevertheless, he seems to indicate that the next time that I breach the Act, the condition ought to be an undertaking that I shall no further breach the Act. So it's a fairly long struggle, and I think there'll be others taking up the slack.
Meanwhile, the Queensland government has been warned that any moves to enforce new industrial legislation in the power industry could result in a statewide blackout. Power station operators are reportedly so angry about the legislation they're again preparing to turn supplies down.
One operator said today that any future dispute would make the last power stoppage look like a picnic. A change of policy by the Electricity Commission means there'll be no more controlled load shedding. He said the automated load shedding system referred to in these directives has never been tested and the whole system could break down. That's a big risk, but one the operator's spokesman, John Barrett, told me today many of the men are angry enough to take. The spur would be the government using legislation aimed at prohibiting industrial action in the power industry. And again, I was told there are plenty of issues brewing in the industry that could prompt just that.
The operators now feel, and the power station industry workers feel, that the legislation that is now available to be used against them has put them in such a position that they can't retract any further.
So what you're saying is we could expect the operators to take some action in the very near future?
It's on the cards.
MOA President Bob Warren represents about 40% of the operators and believes they're much more united over this issue than they ever were during the last power dispute. For the moment, the unions have simply given notice. They'll accept the government's challenge and double it. Michael Spencer reporting for NewsWorld.
Australian surf lifesaving authorities believe that the USA and South Africa have joined forces to exclude Australia, the international leader in the sport, from the 1986 World Championships in Hawaii. South Africa has accepted an invitation from the Americans, effectively preventing any countries that are party to the agreement from competing.
Lifesaving is a proud Australian tradition, one in which we excel, having won world titles in every event at the 2 World Championships to date. Australia instigated the carnivals, Bali in 1981, then Hawaii in 1983. President of the Australian Surf Lifesaving Association, Alan Welpton, was one of the prime movers and believes the international get-togethers were highly successful.
Something which we could practice our life-saving skills and show them around the world, something which, as Australians, we're very proud of, and I'll be very disappointed if a Y86 doesn't take place.
He may well be disappointed, along with 12,000 other members, if things don't change. Today, Mr Welpton sent a circular to members throughout the country, alerting them to the fact that Australia's participation is in jeopardy. America won the honour of hosting the 1986 championships and promptly invited South Africa. Part of the circular says that in the past, South Africa has not sought to compete where it would deny the attendance of any other country. Now they're flying in the face of that policy and aiming to take advantage of competing in the USA. In effect, that would result in a two-team event, hardly a world championship.
With South Africa going, it means that countries such as Great Britain, Canada, Hong Kong, Bali and all the countries that participated in the last one, Australia and New Zealand, will not be able to go.
So why are the Americans doing this?
Well, maybe the Americans might want to see their name up in as world champions, because the comment made by the American delegate was that, well, if only two countries compete, maybe we'll see a lot of new world champions.
There's not enough time to arrange a replacement event, so all the surf lifesaving world can do is await the outcome of the Americans' meeting later this month and hope that they change their minds. The Australians won't break government policy and compete, even to salvage an event that they have worked so hard to establish and had so much success in.
4 Vietnamese hunger strikers, including a 67-year-old woman, were today ordered to leave their protest camp outside Parliament House in Canberra. But despite having their tents and belongings removed, the 4 say they will continue without shelter.
These Vietnamese are mostly refugees who fled Saigon during the communist takeover. The decision to allow 22 students to study in Canberra has angered them. They say the students are communist spies sent by Hanoi to cause trouble. That's why 6 of them started a hunger strike 2 weeks ago. On Tuesday, 2, including this 67-year-old woman, couldn't go on. Today, against doctors' advice, Mrs. Thieu Mai returned. But the government decided it was time for the demonstration to end. The tents came down and the hunger strikers were told to leave. But even without tents, the 4 planned to defy the government and stay, even if it means starving.
Australia is on the verge of lucrative defence contracts through Europe with a world-beating anti-ship missile decoy system. It's the Winnan project that's had a special task force touring Europe seeking buyers. Lee Hatcher, our European correspondent, reports.
The first rule of naval warfare, 1985, is there's no time for thinking. For many years, armed forces around the world have been developing decoy systems that attract the missile away from the ship. Through these tests, Australia has developed a world leader. After the decoy leaves the ship, it hovers, emitting the same range of signals that comes from a ship. And its key is that it moves at the same speed as its host. It's far more convincing than any other in attracting the sea-skimming missile away from the ship. John Trippett has been leading a joint government industry task force that's presented the Winnan decoy to Europe.
We have had industry throughout Europe, I would like to say, aggressively interested in the vehicle. And again, we must follow up, because we are saying in this area that Australia is open for business, and therefore I think that it is up to Australia to provide the follow-up.
If, as seems likely, the selling campaign through Europe bears concrete orders, it'll mean contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars for Australia, an exercise in which government and private enterprise can actually work together. Lee Hatcher in London for NewsWorld.
Israeli forces have mounted a new search and arrest raid in South Lebanon today. Earlier, Israeli occupation troops began freeing hundreds of prisoners from their main South Lebanon prison camp.
It was, said the Israelis, a humanitarian gesture designed to ease the tensions between the Israeli army of occupation and the population of South Lebanon. But the majority of the 750 or so prisoners released today seemed uncowed by their imprisonment and bent on continuing what they see as a holy war against the Israelis. God is great, they chanted, the by now familiar battle cry of the Shia Muslims. Others taunted their guards with chants of death to Israel, long life to Ayatollah Khomeini. We, they sang, have the bombs and the bullets. 1,200 of their comrades had already been moved into Israel. They say the Israelis will be detained as long as the security situation demands it. Most of those are accused by the Israelis of taking part in operations against Israeli soldiers. Those released today are said to be less active supporters of the resistance against Israel's occupation of their country. Though the Israelis thought it necessary to keep a close watch on them until the last moment. The operation was supervised by the International Red Cross, who say the removal of some prisoners to Israel and their continued detention is a breach of the Geneva Convention, something the Israelis deny. The Israelis were anxious to try and portray today's releases and the closure of Ansar as a goodwill gesture. In fact, they had no real alternative to the closure, as they are retreating south from here within a few weeks.
Sunday night on a country practice.
Molly's coming home at the weekend. She's going to expect to see piglets.
Shirley tries to help a friend with an overbearing husband.
Gordon Barlow has got a chip on his shoulder a mile wide.
Matron Sloane insists Judy enter the local beauty pageant.
And you will be beautiful. That is an order.
On a country practice Sunday night. And Judy faces tough competition when Australia's entrant in the most beautiful girl in the world pageant, Natalie McCurry, guest stars on a country practice Monday night on 7.
Seen the new Tangalooma yet? Things are really happening. Here's your chance to purchase part of the action.
But what I'm here to tell you about is holiday ownership on a time-sharing basis. It's a concept that swept the world and is now the most exciting thing in holidays here in Australia.
It's a first in timeshare so close to Brisbane. 10 minutes by plane, a leisurely hour or so by the exciting flyer. The ultimate timeshare resort, Tangalooma, tropical island paradise. The luxury of Beach Lodge, nestled in an oasis on an island almost exclusively national park, water sports, fishing and adventure like you've never seen. Stop holiday inflation forever, from less than $400 deposit and easy bank finance. Join the club at Tangalooma and see for yourself why hundreds of families believe this is a great family investment.
Tangalooma, a true tropical island paradise. Come for the day, holiday for a week, or become an owner in our exciting new time-sharing concept. Phone the number on your screen right now.
Ewan! Wall! Where are you, Wall? Bring him round! Wall!
If you've been looking at small cars lately, you're probably saying, seen one? Seen them all? But motoring writers are saying there is one that's different. Nissan Pulsar Sedan. Because Pulsar looks better, drives better. Pulsar's quiet, roomy, and Pulsar's unique front seats are super comfy. Plus, Pulsar has a huge boot. But best of all, Nissan Pulsar is very economical. Nissan Pulsar Sedan.
Not the flaming car, the sheep!
No wonder it stands out from the flock.
Come alive, come and drive Nissan. You are like a hurricane.
Neil Young, the man, the legend.
Comes a time.
Neil Young's Greatest Hits is an album full of great songs. Neil Young, one of the most powerfully inventive singer-songwriters from the 70s. Neil Young's Greatest Hits, out now on album and cassette through WEA.
Oh no, she's doing the banking!
How clever it must seem to have accounts all over the place. You rush around for high interest, pay the bills in a panic. If only you could find someone who'd do all this, give you a check account free of activity charges, and pay your bills automatically. Plus, give you a MasterCard or Westpac card to shop with in supermarkets and in service stations. It's called Advantage Saver Plus, and it's only from Westpac, the bank.
Been doing the banking, Mum.
Thanks for joining us on NewsWorld tonight. Australia's dollar is still falling against all major world currencies. Today's record low was 64.1 cents against the US dollar, although by end of trading today, it was improved slightly to 65.5 cents.
Across the country today, talk no doubt centred on the falling dollar. Wise heads discussing the current account crisis, the interest rate squeeze, commodity prices and all those things that make them so-called financial experts. But if you wade through all that, maybe it's not so complex. Look at it this way. If you borrowed too much money and found the cost of clothing and food constantly going up while your wages were going down, you'd have trouble convincing anyone that you were a good financial risk. And that's about where Australia has landed itself. We're paying something like $700 million a month more for goods than we're taking in. Our exports aren't earning us enough to pay for our imports, and the government, keen to remain popular at home, is keeping interest rates as low as possible, which means there's not much point investing in Australia if you can do better elsewhere. Add to that concern over ANZUS, MX missiles and the like, and you have a very nervous financial world feeling much as you and I do when contemplating a big financial commitment.
There's no simple solution with a falling dollar. Part of it is out of our control. Part of it relates to low mineral prices and low agricultural prices, as we've known for some time. But it's happened for such a long time now that it is a view which is taking hold around the world of Australia's relative importance in the world financially. And for the first time, I think that we've got to take stock and take some quite radical steps to do something about it.
The government, of course, says, don't worry.
If you look at prices, employment, the housing sector, retail sales, sales of motor vehicles, all the fundamentals are strong and bear comparison with any other economy in the Western world.
But the opposition naturally disagrees.
A combination of reasons, including the very heavy devaluation of the Prime Minister's own leadership of the party on economic and other matters. There are some overseas reasons like the strength of the US dollar, low commodity prices, but domestically people are getting worried about the quality of Mr Hawke's leadership.
In the end, it's a question of making hard decisions, something Australian politicians are not noted for. It's also a matter of recognising that Australia isn't quite the rich young cousin we often think we are.
Continuing financial news tonight, Australian share markets hit another record high this afternoon as foreign investors took advantage of the weak Aussie dollar to buy stocks. At the end of half-day trading before the Easter weekend, the All Ordinaries Index closed 4.5 points higher on a turnover of 23.7 million shares. Arnott's was the focus of another takeover. It's believed the American company, Campbell Soup, purchased 1 million Arnott shares in an attempt to gain 15% of the biscuit maker's issued capital. As we told you earlier, the Australian dollar hit an all-time low against the American greenback, hitting 64.1 US cents before closing at 65.5. In response, gold trading was quiet because of the Easter holiday. In New York this morning, bullion closed at $316 per ounce. Life may have evolved not from the sea, but from clay. That's a theory being examined by scientists at NASA's research center near San Francisco.
Most scientists speculate that life started in a primordial soup of simple organic molecules back when the Earth was new. But the latest theory says that life started not in the ocean, but on land, patterning itself after simple life processes associated with clay. One group of researchers has discovered that clay can store energy and transfer it during cycles of thawing and drying.
There's the cyclic wetting and drying reaction process that we have found to be so effective in producing the chemicals that were necessary to the first living cells.
There's also evidence that clay performs other lifelike functions, that it can replicate or copy its own molecular structure and pass chemical information on to other systems, similar in a primitive way to growth in living organisms. At some point, the theory goes, these patterns of activity were passed on to complex organic compounds and living cells emerged.
I'm not imagining it to have been a leap. I imagine that it was a gradual process in which the thing became better and better. The old systems were one by one dropped and new systems were one by one brought in.
The scientists said they may never be able to prove their theory, but they offered it as the most plausible one so far and predicted that future discoveries will back it up.
Taronga Park Zoo in Sydney has just introduced its latest residents, comparatively rare red pandas, to the public.
Taronga Zoo produced its twin red panda babies just in time for Easter. Born 4 months ago, Mum kept the babies hidden in a log nest. Just this week, the babies began to explore their treetop home and found today's gathering of Sydney media very interesting. Red pandas come from the high altitudes of the Himalayas and are becoming rare in the wild. But the birth of the twin girls makes a total of 5 red pandas at Taronga.
The Easter break is with us, and as Aussie families relax, we often forget the real meaning of this holy time. Well, next on State Affair, a Good Friday family special, as we look at the real meaning of Easter and how it's commemorated in Europe. A special programme for your whole family. Join us Good Friday night for State Affair at 6:30.
Gagan's Easter Fair includes 36 displays and stalls, garden clinics, potting demonstrations, rare fruit display, imported giftware and Sapo cooking.
Darling, I thought you had the keys.
There are two ways to find things in your handbag. You can rummage around in there all day, or simply tip it all out. Introducing the Sterling Leather Carry-All Bag. Real leather luxury plus total organization in one beautiful bag. You'll find a place for everything. Sunglasses, wallet, cosmetics, travel documents, everything you need at your fingertips. Are you ready for the price? Well, you also get this matching leather wallet worth $9.95 at no extra cost. And remember, they're real leather with beautiful patchwork stitching. 2 natural leather colours, tan or burgundy, with a full money-back guarantee. You get the carry-all bag and the matching wallet for only $19.98 plus postage and handling. And as a special TV offer, we'll give you this flashlight torch at no extra cost to clip into your carry-all. Plus not 1, but 2 matching leather key rings, so you'll never have to rummage for your keys again. If that's not the best organised real leather offer you've ever had, we'll give you your money back. Here's how to order.
To order your leather bag, phone now or send check to Sterling Leather Bag, Box 9827 in your capital city. For $19.98 plus postage and handling, you'll receive this genuine leather carry-all bag and the matching wallet in tan or burgundy. And as a special offer to viewers of this station, you get the clip-in flashlight torch and 2 matching leather key rings at no extra cost. Plus our no-quibble, cast-iron, money-back guarantee. So get organised. Phone this number now with your credit card or write today.
For those days when you feel 1,000 years old. Radox. Radox mineral salts generate millions of lively little oxygen bubbles to invigorate, refresh, and make you feel your young self again. A Radox bath stimulates body and mind.
Steve, you've been ages in there.
Coming.
Now also available in Supersports and Mineral and Herbal.
Isn't it a wonderful work of art, Oscar?
Did you say art?
Look, I've even bought you something new for dinner. 3 new fish varieties from Dine.
Ah, now that's a classic.
Australian pilchards.
What taste?
Australian salmon and pilchards.
What texture?
And tuna and Australian salmon.
Each one a connoisseur's choice.
And 100% fish.
And 100% original. Good food is an art in itself, so make mine Dine.
Time for a look at sport now, and hot on the heels of the Disabled Olympics last year in America, athletes from all around Australia and Canada are gathering in Canberra to take part in our own games. But as Tyrone Moraga reports, the star of the show, Tracy Lewis, may have a battle to achieve her goal.
18 athletes from all over Queensland departed tonight on board coach instead of a plane, in a sombre reminder of the plight their sporting association has endured since its establishment nearly 5 years ago, a lack of financial assistance as a result of limited recognition. They're bound for the 5th annual Australian National Sporting Titles in Canberra. Already, the Australian Amputee and Disabled Sporting Association has competed in the American Handicapped Olympics, slashing 25 seconds off a world swimming record. And tonight, champion swimmer Tracy Lewis, who has numerous gold, silver and bronze medals, was awarded the National Sportswoman's Award for the Disabled. Again, ironically, the awards ceremony taking place in a bus depot. But despite this and the adoration of an entire Queensland country town, it seems that it's not enough to join the famed Australian Institute of Sports. Although misfortune doesn't seem to have fazed Tracy at all. How do you feel with the award?
Really good. It's quite an honour, I feel. Just shocked. Really good, I suppose.
And what are your plans after the week at the Institute?
Well, I'm looking forward to getting a scholarship at the Institute if possible, but otherwise a sponsorship from someone, more training, more hard training, just more competition in general, I suppose.
The Institute has said a sporting scholarship is forthcoming, but until then, Tracy and many others like her may just have to wait. Tyrone Moraga reporting for 7's NewsWorld.
Malcolm Raby today seriously quizzed the security surrounding swabs taken from racehorses in Queensland. Raby, trainer of Picnic in the Park, started what could be the test case which ends the caffeine doping fiasco in Queensland.
Today's inquiry into the caffeine doping of Picnic in the Park on February 16 at Mackay, the day he equalled the Australian record, was expected to be a formality, with Raby getting the usual 6-month suspension. But armed with a tape recorder which he was refused permission to use, Raby began a lengthy questioning of QTC analyst John Loth over security surrounding the swab samples once they reached Brisbane. The hearing lasted almost 3 hours.
It's going to bring out a lot of unanswered questions, and I did cross-question a lot of people, with relation to the swabbing procedure, especially after it gets to the lab. I think that, there's not too many people have stood up. I think there's been a hell of a lot of innocent people convicted, and I think this case will bring it all to a head.
Raby is backing his case with Picnic's example that the urine sample proved positive in the horse, but the saliva sample was negative, and he has a solution.
There will be 3 swabs taken. There'll be glass bottles, there'll be wax seals with a government stamp, and only one can go to that laboratory. And then if it does come up positive, then at least the trainer and the owners have got the other swabs to fall back on. If they're not positive, well, they're definitely not guilty. And I think you'll find out that there won't be any more positives once that happens.
Tomorrow night, the neighbours have a visitor.
You're Anna.
She's a very beautiful woman.
Yes.
Why are Daphne and Des fighting?
Sometimes you're just so touchy.
Most times you are very irritating.
Parents take sides as their 2 sons battle to recover. On Neighbours tomorrow night at 7 on 7.
Libra panty liners. Soft, discreet. The only panty liners tapered for a comfortable fit. For all those other times of the month, Libra panty liners. Whenever you just want to be sure.
Some intermediate cars ask you to compromise on power, economy, or space. Except this one. With its bigger engine and electronic fuel injection, new Camira doesn't ask you to compromise on power, or economy, or space, or style, or handling, or comfort, or value, or anything else. New Holden Camira. For once, you don't have to compromise on anything.
If you didn't write down the address or phone number for the carry-all bag, here it is again. Sterling leather bag, box 9827 in your capital city. For $19.98, you get the genuine leather carry-all bag and the matching wallet in tan or burgundy. And as a special TV offer, you also get the clip-in flashlight torch and 2 matching leather key rings. All 5 pieces for $19.98 plus postage and handling. Get organised. Send your cheque today, or if you prefer to use your credit card, phone this number now.
Seen the new Tangalooma yet? Things are really happening. Here's your chance to purchase part of the action.
But what I'm here to tell you about is holiday ownership on a time-sharing basis. It's a concept that swept the world and is now the most exciting thing in holidays here in Australia.
It's a first in timeshare so close to Brisbane. 10 minutes by plane, a leisurely hour or so by the exciting flyer. The ultimate timeshare resort, Tangalooma, tropical island paradise. The luxury of Beach Lodge, nestled in an oasis on an island almost exclusively national park, water sports, fishing and adventure like you've never seen. Stop holiday inflation forever, from less than $400 deposit and easy bank finance. Join the club at Tangalooma and see for yourself why hundreds of families believe this is a great family investment.
Tangalooma, a true tropical island paradise. Come for the day, holiday for a week, or become an owner in our exciting new time-sharing concept. Phone the number on your screen right now.
And now the weather outlook for Good Friday. Brisbane will be fine with light winds and a temperature range of 15 to 28 degrees. That's all we have for you in NewsWorld for tonight. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget our major bulletin of the day at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Have a happy and safe Easter. Good night, everyone.